We tried to replicate them, and they weren't as successful. And only now are we seeing resilient patterns and best practices and lessons learned that we can actually start to talk about. And we'll try and cover those today. We want to avoid cargo cults. We want to understand what this is really about deeply so that we can move it into our businesses. So I'm going to rate all these candidates. I'm going to say, all right, here's the things I see that are really resulting in bottom line improvements to businesses today. And I'm going to present to you a number of candidates. I'm going to make a case for them. So that's really going to be the story for the rest of this session. And I'm looking for things that allow us to do things less expensively, allow us to do them intrinsically better, or are innovative, allow us to expand the way that we do things so that we can transform our businesses and create new products and services. New types, in particular, of products and services. This is an Apple going from the computer business and taking a right turn and adding media and the iPhone and iTunes and all the things they add to their business models. Not something anyone expected them to do. So in other words, if these things give your business a future, we're going to look at them really closely. We have a lot of challenges. I'm going to cite a number of success stories of companies that are doing this very, very well. But we're only getting these stories now after a number of years of doing this. And the reasons are, one, is cultural chasms. Is one of the top ones. Most organizations are very top-down and hierarchical about your command and control. And the center of the organization says, we shall do the following things to great product, service, and market, and so on. And it's a very different culture when you greatly flatten everything, when social media tools provide a platform for literally anyone in the organization to circulate their ideas. That's a fantastic way to tap into innovation. It's something that a lot of businesses are uncomfortable with. There's a lot of uncomfortableness, if it's not a word, about social media inside of businesses and outside as well. We'll talk about both of them. Disruption. A lot of companies are concerned about doing something very different than they were before. It goes hand in hand with the cultural academies. There's perceived cost. The good news is we see repeatedly, if you look at how we used to do things in older generations of knowledge management and communication and marketing and customer service, there were very expensive ways of doing things compared to this. So they're still worried about this. Oh, we have to spend more money on new things that we don't have. How do we do this? Risk. And then difficulty. And finally, one of the most important ones, repeatability. This goes back to the cargo cult thing I was talking about. And that these ideas have to be something that people can get enough information, sit down, and start doing. How do I start leveraging the network and reaching out to all of my customers and all of my employees and start bringing them together to accomplish things in new ways? So the biggest problem overall, though, is changing our thinking. So rating all of these contenders, which I'll present to you here in a moment. We've got several axes here. We've got proven benefits. You have a few of these that are really clearly beneficial to virtually everyone that has tried them. These would be things like online community, which I'll try and kind of really dissect for you to understand what the pros and cons are. There's this repeatability concept. If it's proven, and we see people doing it routinely over and over again, and this is ready for wide adoption. This is something I'm saying you probably really need to look at. This is not an early adopter story. We're now getting to the early majority stage for this. You should be doing it. And here's the benefits and here's the challenges. Whereas if there's a lot of challenges and there's a lot of uncertain results, I think there's questionable value. And I don't present anything today that is in that quadrant. And they're suitable for experimentation and ideal for early adopters. So again, got my message yet today. The network, that we're talking about the web, and every device connected to it, including all 3.5 billion mobile devices. The network's a big place today. It's basically everyone who's connected, and that's about half the planet right now. It's all of your customers, and it's all of your competitors, and it's also where all the ideas and the innovation are. That's the marketplace. It's the world's single largest marketplace, and it's where your business is going to be spending its future, period. And we only have a few proven strategies for a long-term competitive advantage. There's only a few companies that are staying way out ahead, and there's some that are behind them, but they're doing something quantitatively different and qualitatively different as well. So who is doing this? How big a story is this really? What are we talking about? Why are we here today? If you look at the numbers right now, 1/3 of businesses globally, this is a McKinsey study, have social media tools today. They may not have it all throughout the organization, but 1/3 of senior executives surveyed late last year said that they have these tools In North America, only email and search is used more. If you look at every type of application that people use, email and search is only the only remaining tools that are ahead of social media. We're talking about things like Facebook and Twitter. This is something that people have already chosen to integrate into their daily lives. I was in the UK when they, a month and a half ago when they announced that only search is used more in most of Europe. That email has already taken a back seat to social media. So these are not small trends. These are very significant changes. So I think when we take a cross-section of a typical organization, you've got product development, marketing, sales, customer service, your line of business, that's what you do, whatever it is that you do, operations, IT, and back office. These are the different things you can be doing to improve the bottom line in terms of applying social media. One of this is a big vertical slice. This is enterprise social media, and you'll often hear this referred to as enterprise 2.0. So I use that terminology because if you're looking for serious formal writing and research and products around this, they're going to call it enterprise 2.0 and not enterprise social media. I'll try to explain a little bit of that as we go along. We have this thing called crowdsourcing, where in the last generation of making our businesses more efficient, we did outsourcing. We said we can't do it all ourselves. We'll find companies that can do it cheaper, and we'll plug them into our businesses. And now we've found that with the network, we can plug our customers in. They will do almost anything that we'll let them do. I'll tell you stories like XM Radio. They discovered that when they connected with their online community, a community of 250,000 passionate XM Radio customers who are changing ideas and how to use the product better and troubleshooting and support and so on, that when they referred their customers who were having trouble with the product to it, that their customer service costs dropped dramatically and their customer satisfaction levels raised. We'll tell a bunch of stories like that later on today. But they essentially discovered that by partnering with online communities, which are using based on social media tools, that they can dramatically change the business results, cut costs, make their customers happier by crowdsourcing. We're going to talk about a lot of different crowdsourcing models here today. Online communities, product development 2.0 is a term I coined at the product development conferences. And increasingly, companies are turning over the design of their products to their customers. I was in a meeting with Gucci. They asked me to come and help them talk about innovation with their products, realizing that the next generation of customers are going to be fundamentally different than the last generation. They're not going to go into the stores. They're going to want a much more sustained online relationship with the brand. And when I saw where the CEO was going, I asked them, we were doing a TV show to kind of get the entire company to talk about Web 2.0 and social media. I said, well, would you expect that you would have a line of fashion that any starving fashion designer anywhere in the world, in other words on the network, could submit a product design and your customers would choose which ones they want to see in that brand, in that line of fashion? And he looked at his folks and said, not only do I think that's possible, I expect it. So these are what major companies are talking about doing, saying we have to make changes to our business. Our customers are there. They're on the other end of the networking, and they're there 24 hours a day if we'll only interact with them. It's the new CRM. So another key point is, and this is one I see all over the place, is if the network is the world's largest marketplace, it's all our customers, all our competitors, it's really going to change us. We're all being dragged into it. Now, the easiest way to do this stuff is not to do it at all, because the rest of the world will interact with your, talk about and your products and work with you, or work with the parts of the company that are using this if you'll let them. Often they'll drag you kicking and screaming into that world. I think it was the Taco Bell story that was on YouTube the other day. That was very interesting. The message here is no small system can withstand sustained contact with a much larger system without being fundamentally changed. And that's what's happening here. So what are the changes we're talking about? What are the motive forces that are making this happen? What are the new business models we have to start looking at? One is this thing called network effect, which I'll explain to you in a moment. Another one is peer production, in that we can't do it all ourselves anymore. We have to partner with the network because it's much more productive, it's cheaper, faster, and potentially more innovative. Almost certainly, as we'll see in some of the examples we're talking about. No more central production of everything we do in our businesses.